Democracy is a political and ideological system in which every individual is equal to the eyes of the law. People have the power to choose their representatives.
What is capitalism? Capitalism is the economic system that rules the world in our ways. It consists in the investment of capital to get profit. Only a small portion of the people owns the most of the investment.
Okay, the 19th century has been a period of rapid industrial expansion in America. This means that in this century, in North America, the per capita was increasing in order to be a country. And the causes of the causes of this is that America wanted to be like better than the other continents. And one event that helps to the democracy and capitalism in America was the socialism in the United States. The causes of this one is the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution, and the consequences was the formation of the social democracy, and they start having like democracy control. This means that like a democratic control, and they start like developing the government in order to respect like the rights of the people that live there. And it also helped to the capitalism. And the level of democracy of United States was higher than the other countries in America. So they start like being like better than the other countries. And with the socialism, they will be like a society in which everybody will have the right to participate in the social decisions, and everybody will have free access to the good services. War of 1812, and this was a war between America and Britain during 1812 and 1815. For the Americans, this was like a kind of second revolutionary war, so they will have like more rights to the Americans than the Britons, and this was like an opportunity for Americans to know what Americans really mean, and they will like have like more freedom, more rights, and they will increase their capitalism in North America.
England made a huge reformation that started in 1832 and it ended up to 1884. These reformations give vote to the people and principally to the householders and workers, so low class principally. And after these reformations, women got their right to vote, but that was until 20th century. These reformations were done because of the overcrowding, dirty, poverty and diseases that were increasing day by day in England. So the government found a solution by making these reformations and increasing the democracy. After this, the democracy developed very well in Britain, and it also developed in most of the Western Europe countries and the Principality, of course. And by 20th century, most of Europe was democratic. Capitalism in Britain. Industrial Revolution was one of the most important revolutions in the world. Their causes was the commercial revolution in Europe, capital accumulation, and technological advances, principally in vapor machines. Why it started in Britain? Britain had great deposits of coal and iron ore, and because of their political stability. So this led them initiate the revolution. As the demand increased because of the good manufacturing with the vapor machines, the rise of mechanization and factory system increased. The first railway steam locomotive was built, and it went from Liverpool to Manchester. And before the revolution, most of Britain was rural, but after the capital increased, the towns became urban cities.
The French in Vietnam. Vietnam became a French colony in the 19th century. The French started capturing city by city of Vietnam, and in 1883 the north and central part of Vietnam was forced to become from the French. The French built their infrastructure in Vietnam like railways and also roads and bridges. But even though the French helped, the Vietnamese wanted independence. For 8 years, the Vietnamese fought against the French. Finally, in 1954, the French were forced to surrender. However, no elections were held, and the division of Vietnam became permanent until 1956. The major restoration in Japan. In 1867, Japanese were forced to sign unequal treaties with Western powers. These treaties benefited the Western economical and legal advantages in Japan. In order to regain independence from the Europeans and Americans and establish herself as a respected nation in the world, the new government aimed to make Japan a democratic state with equality among all its people. For consequence, the samurai were the big losers of these social reforms since they lost all their privileges. The reforms also included the establishment of human rights such as religious freedom in 1873.
Latin America was a region in which there was not too much democracy or capitalism, and with the liberalism they started having more changes in a good way. And liberalism means the political and social freedom of the individual, parliamentary system of government. And the causes of liberalism in Latin America was the liberal victory in the ideological struggles, the Napoleon Wars and the French Revolution, and also the Enlightenment. Especially the Enlightenment opened the door for ideas to be better, and the liberals wanted to end with the Catholic Church. The consequences was they start having democracy and stability in the region. In 1879, and it was a conflict involving Bolivia, Peru, and Chile, and they were fighting for the territory in the Pacific Coast because this territory contained valuable mineral resources. So the country that won the war, they will have better capitalism than the others. And the causes were not economical but were geopolitical, and also the declaration of war between Peru and Chile. And the consequences was the impact on the societies of the involved countries. And also, as the economy grew, the republic stabilized and began to develop their own national identity.
Democracy in Africa. In 1885, Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor of Germany, made the Berlin Conference with the purpose for the principal countries of Europe to take over Africa and conquer it. What led to the conquer of Africa was that Africa had a big source of raw materials and a market for manufacturing goods. Before Africa was conquered, most of the continent was divided into kingdoms and their religion was Islam. But many laws were applied when they were conquered to these countries in which black people, which was principally the population in Africa, lost their rights, and this was because of in 19th century, racial hierarchy was a strong ideology. So when the Europeans conquered Africa, racism to black people from the government increased. After the huge conquer of the whole Africa continent, democracy was the principal government in Africa, but all the black people lost their rights. They won less than white people, and they didn't have the same services as a white.
Revolution of Iran. In the 19th century, the only solution to save Iran from a government full of corruption and foreign manipulation was to make a written code of laws. This sentiment caused the constitutional revolution. During the reign of Mossadegh Shah, an elected parliament was created in August 5, 1906. Before Mossadegh Shah died, he inaugurated the first session of the National Consultative Assembly. Following Mossadegh Shah's death, his successor, Muhammad Ali Mirza, ascended to the throne in 1907. Before taking the throne, he asked to respect the fundamentals of constitution and nations' rights. After that, capitalizing internal struggles began, and Russia and Great Britain effectively divided Iran into two areas of influence for the respective countries. And the government of Iran was officially notified of this fact on September 7, 1907, and Russia and Great Britain ambassadors gave freedom until 1909.